What's the minimum amount I have to do to keep this thing going, to make any little bit of progress, or at least to stop things from falling completely apart? Hello, friends. What if you're not actually overwhelmed with life, but rather you're simply unprioritized? This is life after all, and we have busy periods, and we always have too many things to do. And this gets worse as you get older. I hope it stops at my current age, but my experience has been that the older I get, the more responsibilities I take on, and the more, the longer my to-do list grows. And so it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like you have so much to do, so many emails to answer, so many incidents to manage, be that at work, or maybe you ran into someone with your car, or someone ran into you. You have all this admin work to do. You have bills to pay, and kids to drop off at sports. All of this stuff is real. There's a lot of volume. And clearly, as you can probably add on to this list yourself, this list can grow so much. When you become a homeowner, now it's, okay, I have to mow the lawn every couple of weeks. I have to paint every couple of years. I have to replace my roof every 5 to 10 years. I have to, renovate the kitchen every 10 years because it gets outdated. And the list simply grows the more roles you take on. However, this is always going to be the case. You're always going to have more than you can chew. Now, certainly some people don't. Some people stay in their mother's basements and don't do a whole lot. And in that case, you probably are not going to be feeling overwhelmed. But it is true that if you are a go-getter, if you are a stoic, or someone trying to be a stoic, you're probably going to find yourself taking on a lot of roles, a lot of responsibility, feeling overwhelmed. Now, here's the interesting piece about this. The first interesting piece, I already said, there's always going to be more things to do. So really drill that into your head and just accept that, and it's good. You can have peace with that. But the second thing is that all of these things that you have to do, they may not all be equally important. Some of them may not be important at all. And so, really, what this is pointing towards is an issue of prioritization. And prioritization is a rather simple concept. What is most important right now? X, Y, or Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What is more important? And for a lot of people, when you really think about it, the answer is simple. I have kids. Well, take care of your kids. Now, it's not always take care of your kids because you have to work, and working is taking care of your kids because you need to make money and yada, yada, yada. But a lot of times, if you really think about what's most important to you, I think you will get an answer. And I think those answers will be more or less pretty accurate. And so let's go through an interesting example, one that every parent can relate to, and that is kids and the cleanliness of one's home. I can tell you, as a human being, as a person, I struggle. I clean. I put effort into cleaning every day, yet it still seems like my house is never clean enough, and there's always something else to do. I have to wipe the counters down, get the coffee grinds off. I have to fold my laundry, do my laundry. I have to wipe off the cupboards, the stainless steel appliances, mop up the floors, clean the toilet, clean the tub. Like, the list is so long just to maintain a clean home. Hey there, Let me thank you for being a listener to this ad-free podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, there are a few things you can do to help me out. A 5-star review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this really does help, and it's free. You can also sign up for my Substack newsletter or Patreon. Substack free gets each episode emailed to you along with the transcripts in the form of an article. You'll also get access to my live talks, followed by a Q&A afterward. Substack Premium supporters and my patrons on Patreon get access to the recordings and a brief article of those Q&A sessions, access to full episodes of the Paradoxically Speaking podcast, my Steps to Success interview series, Stoic meditations, and much more. Links to Substack and Patreon can be found in the show notes. And then you throw kids in the mix, and then it's just, okay, well, basically all hope of having any clean anything is out the window. And so you're at this situation in your life. Now, if you don't have kids, and you don't have a demanding job, and maybe you're single and you live alone, yeah, maybe it's okay to spend 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week cleaning your home and having it perfectly clean. If you're a parent, there are bigger priorities. Now, that does not mean that you have to live in a pigsty, thank God. That doesn't mean that you never have to clean up. But what it means is that you have to be something called, and I love this term, you have to be functional. Functionally X. Functionally, in this example, functionally clean. Meaning, do you need every bed made up? No. Do you need every wall wiped down? No. Do you need every window free of fingerprints? No. Now, do you need to, maybe clean the toilet once or twice a month? Yeah, you should probably do that. Do you need to clean cooking utensils, do the dishes? Yeah, you should probably do those as best as you can, certainly before cooking. Do you need to make an attempt to clean the floors? Yes, you still need to do all of that, but it needs to be functional. And what's interesting about this idea of being functionally clean is that it really points to what matters most in whatever it is you're doing. And this is the same for everything, by the way. I recently did a Truthful Thursday, which will come out this Thursday, just talking about that idea of the gym and how, because of my new role, I've had to deprioritize the gym to some small degree. And so you could say that I was being functionally fit, which means I'm trying to balance this thing that's really important to me with everything else that's going on right now. And some things are taking more priority than others. And so, functionally clean house when you have kids running around wreaking havoc on everything. A functional gym routine, perhaps, when things are really busy for you. There's room for even a functional romantic relationship. Yes, it's true. It's not always the case that you're going to have to prioritize your romantic relationship 100% of the time. There's going to be times where you're going to be busy with work. There's going to be times where you have kids and you have to focus on that for a while. There's going to be times when someone passes away and you have to deal with that. Now, does that mean that you completely neglect your partner? Well, no, you cannot do that. That's not fair. That's not being in a relationship. But you can have a functional relationship, which means you both agree to spend a certain amount of time together, or whatever that looks like, a phone call every night, whatever it looks like if you're traveling. I don't know. But you have to decide, you have to agree what that is functionally. So we've touched on functional clean house, functionally, a functional gym routine, a functional relationship, functional at work sometimes. Again, when the other roles in your life demand the most of you, sometimes you need to just simply do what's required, what keeps work going. It doesn't get you fired, but keeps you employed, does what you need to do, matches your duties, but not in an optimal way. So you have to lower your standard a little bit. There's another great term I like in this, which is, I've been using the term functional, which is good. But there's also this idea of MVP, not most valuable player, but minimum viable product, which means what's the minimum amount I have to do to keep this thing going, to make any little bit of progress, or at least to stop things from falling completely apart. So, let's go back. Your list: emails, admin, paying bills, cleaning the house, taking care of your partner, taking care of your kids, having time for hobbies, all of these. It's a massive list. It's so big. But you don't need to check off everything on that list with equal priority. You can prioritize. You get to decide your values. This is the wonderful thing. You get to decide what's important and what standards can fall. And so do that. Prioritize your list. Prioritize the roles that's required of you, that you have, be it something you took on willingly or unwillingly. The role of a partner, the role of an employee, the role of a father, the role of a mother, of a child, of a son, of a daughter. All these roles that we don't always choose voluntarily, but we have to live up to some degree anyway. And ask yourself, what's the biggest priority right now in my life? What needs optimization and what needs to be simply functional? What needs to be almost perfect and what needs a minimum viable product? And I can't decide that for you, but you can. You can decide which standards you have to drop or that you are willing to drop to match the priorities in your life right now.